So how are you? I hope this finds you well. So today I want us to go through interpersonal relations in psychology of communication. And interpersonal attraction, which normally, of course, brings about relationships, refers to having positive feelings about another person. So the positive feelings is what that brings about a relationship. So it takes many forms, including liking, love, friendship, lust, and admiration. So these positive feelings toward the other person is what that brings about interpersonal attraction, which results to interpersonal relationship. So liking, you can like a person, either love a person, you can have a friendship with a person, you can either be attracted to someone because of lust, and also you can be attracted to someone because you admire that person. So what are the factors that normally influence interpersonal attraction? These are the factors that will bring about or will influence the interaction or attraction towards a person. Number one is physical attractiveness. Research shows that romantic attraction is primarily determined by physical attractiveness, and men are more likely to value physical attractiveness than women. Men will be attracted by a woman who have some physical attractiveness to you. But remember, what is attractive to you might be different to what is attractive to another person. So this attractiveness is more on the men as compared to women. So in the early stages of dating, people are more attracted to partners whom they consider to be physically attractive. So people will be more attracted to the other partner during the very early stages of dating, because they feel that they really are attracted physically by this individual. So people's perception of their own physical attractiveness also plays a role in romantic love. So if you're more attracted to someone, or if you're more attracted to your partner, this will bring more, or will agar more, will enrich the romantic love that is in between you. And that's why once people get married and they stay for a long time, so the physical attractiveness kind of reduces between these individuals. So that's why majority of people will look for physical attractiveness outside and be attracted by other people who are new to them. But once they're used to them, the physical attractiveness normally starts to go low. So the matching hypothesis proposes that people tend to pick partners who are about equal in level of attractiveness to themselves. So you'll find people, but this is also not that it doesn't guarantee, because you'll find a person with money who is not attractive to the other person getting married to a very attractive individual. So, but majority of people will look for the people who are in equal level in terms of attractiveness to themselves. Then another factor is proximity. The more closer you are to another person, the more attracted you become to the other person. So people are more likely to become friends with people who are geographically close to each other. So one explanation for this is mere exposure effect. You're exposed to the other person, you're near that person, you'll be able to know this person, and by that you become friends. So the mere exposure effect refers to people's tendency to like novel stimuli more if they encounter them repeatedly. The more you're exposed to the other people, the more you meet the other person, the more you will be attracted to the other person. Another factor is similarity, where people tend to pick partners who are similar to themselves in terms of characteristics such as age. It's rare that you'll find people getting attracted, a very young girl being attracted to the very old. So the age will bring about attractiveness. The race also will also bring some attractiveness. Religion also can play part in bringing together, or making someone be attracted to you, social class, personality, education level, intelligence level, and attitude. So all these characteristics, in one way or another, will tend to make people get attracted to the other person who are similar in those characteristics. So this similarity is seen not only between romantic partners, but also between friends. You'll get friends with the people you are in the same age group. You'll get into friendship with the people of your same race. You'll get into friendship with the people you are in the same religion, in the same social class, you share the same personality, education level, and etc. So some researchers have just suggested that similarity causes attraction. So others acknowledge that people may be more likely to have friends and partners who are similar to themselves simply because of accessibility. So similarity can also bring about attractiveness between two partners. Then we have another factor, reciprocity, where people tend to like others who reciprocate their liking. When I like you and you dislike me, I'll no longer like you. When you like someone, or when you love someone and the person is not reciprocating that love, definitely your love will probably waver with time. So those are the factors that normally influences the attractiveness to the other individuals. Now, this attractiveness, I've already said, brings about relationship. Then a relationship brings about interpersonal communication. So what is interpersonal communication? This is sending and receiving or exchanging messages between the receiver and the sender sends back feedback between two or more people who clearly have an established relationship. Interpersonal communication skills enable us to function socially and maintain relationships that are important to our life. The way you communicate to the other person will either destroy social relationship with the other person or build the social relationship with the other person, or how you interact with the other person. So interpersonal communication skills enable us to function socially and to maintain relationships that are important to our lives. Research has found that interpersonal relationships are important to our physical health. The way you interact with your neighbors, the way you interact with your colleagues, the way you interact with your friends or your classmates will affect in one way or another your physical health, because lack of contact with the other doubles the chances of getting sick and dying. Because the more you talk to the other people, the more you express yourself, and the more you express yourself, the more you feel better emotionally. So when you're emotionally not fit, you're not healthy, because health is when you're really fit, when it comes to physical, when it comes to emotional, when it comes to mental, when it comes to social, all those aspects contributes to health. So effective interpersonal communication entails the following. So what makes interpersonal communication effective between one person to the other person? Number one is emotional intelligence. And what is emotional intelligence? The ability to understand and get along with others. How do you interact with your neighbors? How do you interact with your superior? How do you interact with your inferior people? So the way you interact with this individual will be determined by the ability to understand and get along with them. How do you react to issues? How do you react to people who have issues with you? So the way you react with the other individual will determine your level of emotional intelligence. How do you handle emotions when you're talking to the other people? How do you handle your emotions when you're in a relationship with the other person? So this is emotional intelligence. The next thing is being social aware. Self-aware. Awareness is the heartbeat of therapy. The moment you are aware of yourself, or you are aware of how you're feeling or your emotion towards others, the moment you are aware, or the moment you identify how you feel about the others. This will help you to pay attention to how they feel before dealing with the emotions of others. So first of all, it is important for individuals to pay attention to how they feel themselves, how you feel before you deal with emotions of the others. You can't be in very emotional and help a very emotional person. You have to check your emotion first, be aware of your emotion and work on it before you help the other individual. Before you talk to the other individual, check on your emotions. If you're moody, check on your moodness before you interact with the other individual. So self-awareness requires the ability to get a little distance from the emotions so that you can look at it without being overwhelmed by it or reacting to it too quickly. So you need to check on your emotion first before you interact with the other person. Because when you interact, when you're very emotional, definitely you'll not interact well. You'll not have an effective interaction, or you'll not have an effective communication. You'll maybe even destroy the relationship you have with the other individual. The next factor that is, or the next thing that is important for effective communication or interpersonal communication is in managing your emotions. Before you manage your emotions, you've said first that you're supposed to be aware of your emotions. So this refers to expressing the emotions or emotions in a manner that it is appropriate to the circumstances. For effective interpersonal communication to occur, people should manage the emotions and express them in a healthy manner. For example, if you are fighting or if you are involved in a very emotional situation before you get home, and when you get home, you get with a lot of emotions, so this will cause you to talk very maybe rudely or even be physically fighting physically with the other person or with your partner, just merely because you didn't manage your emotions that you were experiencing before you met the other individual. So before you have this interpersonal communication, you should manage the emotions and express them in a healthy manner. So if you're angry, just make the other person know that you're not really in the mood of maybe talking or something. But majority of people will just react emotionally and very rudely to the other individual if they don't manage their emotions. So managing emotion doesn't mean that one doesn't get guilty or anxious or angry. On the contrary, it means that you control and express your emotions, but in a better way. Just control your emotions and express your emotion So failure to express your emotions. But remember, I'm saying here, you're expressing your emotions in a mature way or in an organized way. You have managed your emotions, and that will help you express your emotion better. So failure to express, once you hold on to these emotions, you hold on to this emotion. Once a person hurts you, you are not able to express yourself that you're hurt to this by this person. You just hold on to that. This can lead to depression or even antisocial behavior, such as fighting in public, or you'll find couples fighting in public because they are not able, even you'll find others even killing each other. Those antisocial behavior is caused by holding back to emotions. You're not expressing your emotions. So it's still good to express emotions, it's only that it's good to express emotions in a controlled manner. You need to control the emotions. Then another factor that influences effective in communication is motivating yourself. And this involves setting a goal and then disciplining self to do what you have to do to reach it. For effective communication, one thing that influences motivation is positive thinking and optimism, not focusing on failing, but succeeding. So you need to motivate yourself in order to have positive and healthy interpersonal relationship and communication. And this is through positive thinking about yourself as well as about those who surround you, being optimistic and not pessimistic towards others and towards others' opinion. So by that, you'll motivate yourself to have good interpersonal relationship and good interpersonal communication. Another factor that leads to effective communication is recognizing emotions in others. If you find someone is angry, approach them in a better way. You don't approach an angry person with anger because you'll just escalate the anger in them. So you need to empathize with them. You need to recognize and share their feelings or how they're feeling for you to be able to express to talk to them or to communicate with them effectively. And this is essential to human relationship. It comes from the hearing what people are saying and what they are doing. You have to hear first, you have to listen to this individual, you have to recognize their feelings, and recognizing their feelings will enable you be able to communicate effectively to them or with them. Another factor is handling relationships. Chances are that where there are people you know who are largely positive and energetic, and that being with them makes you feel positive too. So you need to handle relationship, because chances are, or in many cases, when we are with our friends, some of our friends take advantage of us because we are just feeling positive too, or positive around them, or being around them make us feel energetic and feel positive. So this relationship need to be handled by you, because sometimes they may make, or if they may always make solutions for your problems. But remember, you are the ones who are supposed to come up with the solution for your problems or the choices that you need to make in life. So people need to need a sense of balance. They need to recognize their own needs and know how to feel and know how to fulfill them. So you need to know you need to understand your problems and also understand how am I able to fulfill these problems. And this will enable you handle your friendship relationship, your spouse relationship, whoever you have a relationship with. Because most of the time you find people, if you're not able to handle the relationship, they will be making solutions for you, and which is not the case, or is not supposed to be the case. So most likely, they are also the people who organize others, negotiate solutions, and when there is a problem to solve, and generally connect with others emotionally. So you need to handle relationship depending on what kind of a person you are dealing with. So we are done with interpersonal relationship and interpersonal communication topic. So I want to go to the next topic. Remember, that is the second topic of the unit. We are now on the third topic, which is perceiving self. How do you see yourself? How is your, or how what do your mind or your mentor image perceive you to be. So self-concept is the idea or mental image that we have about our skills, about our abilities, about our knowledge, competencies, and about our personality. How do you see yourself in terms of the skills you have, in terms of the abilities you can do or you have, in terms of the knowledge that you possess and competencies that you have, as well as your personality. We form these mental images based on self-perception and the reactions and responses of others. The way we perceive ourselves and the way people react towards us will cause us to form the mental image of ourselves, or to have perceiving self, or for us to have some self-concept of who we really are. Not only does self-perception define who we are, it also shapes our communication to the others or our relationship with others. So self-perception is a very vital thing in our psychology. So there are some parts of self-perception. We have ideal self, we have persona self, and we have social self. So ideal self, most people have an idea of the person they would like to be. I want to be a person who have a lot of skills. I want to be a competent psychologist. I want to be have a lot of knowledge. I want to be a very knowledgeable psychologist. So this is how you would like to be. Ideal self varies from one person to the other because we are different. In personality, in psychology, the way we think about ourselves is totally different from one person to the other. It also changes from one stage of life to the next. The way you see yourself right now as a student will not be the way you'll see yourself in future, maybe in 10 years to come, because we change with time. Depending on the knowledge we have, depending on the exposures we have, depending on the experience in life or the experiences in life that you have encountered, these normally changes with time. So as people become old, they modify their vision of ideal accordingly. They normally modify depending on the experiences someone has. Then we have another persona self, or the next part of self-perception. We are done with ideal. Persona self, this involves how people truly see themselves. The other one was ideal. How would you like yourself to be? This one is how are you right now? So this involves how people truly see themselves. So how people see themselves reflect their beliefs about what others think of them. For example, if a person tells you that you're not a competent lawyer, you're not a competent psychologist, you're not a competent doctor, this might affect how you normally see yourself. So how people see themselves reflect their beliefs about what others think of them. And that's their persona self. Then the next self, or the next self-perceiving is social self. And people use each other as a mirror, and this leads people to judge themselves in terms of such criteria as the degree to which they are communicatively skilled, how socially they are, and the extent to which others perceive them as attractive. For example, if you have a friend who you belong to the same profession, you might admire the other individual characters, and this will create an image of how the other individual see themselves. If they are attracted, or if they are attractive to the other people, this will lead to people or to that person judging themselves in terms of such criteria as the degree to which they are communicatively skilled and how socially they are, and the extent to which others perceive them as attractive. If you're attractive, or if you're attractive to a lot of people because of how you speak to them, you're very eloquent, you're very articulate, you're able to, you have that self-confidence that you can be able to speak to people even in a conference and many, many other things, this will also enable you to or this will cause other people to be attracted to you, and they also may portray to you how they feel about you, and this will also build this social self where you'll feel you'll use other people you will so the way people tell you how they view you, you'll use that as a mirror to know how you are. So if I tell you you're a very bad guy, you're a very bad person, you're not able to talk to people well, you're not a good person, you don't know what you do, you're not competent, you can use that as the mirror to show you who you really are, depending on what others perceive you to be. If I tell you you're very good, you're very eloquent, your self-esteem is very good, you're a good person with very good interpersonal skills, so that you can also use that as a mirror to reflect you, or to know how you are, depending on what others perceive you to be. So that's social self personality, or how part of self perceiving according to how the society looks you to be. So those are the three levels, or those are the three parts of self-perception. We normally see ourselves through ideal self, through personal self, through social self. This is according to what you want to be. This is according to who you truly are. And this is according to what others perceive you to be. Then still, this can also affect how we normally perceive ourselves to be. And this is persona versus society, social identity. So responses to the question, who I am, usually consist of references to social identities, interpersonal relationship, and personal traits. The way you perceive yourself to be will be determined by your social identity, your interpersonal relationship with other people, and your personal traits. Gender is another important factor that influences the way we see ourselves and how we normally behave. Of course, gender is a societal identity. The way the society sees you, do your society see you as a woman? Do your society see you as a man? So this is another important factor that will influence our personal perceiving, how we normally perceive ourselves personally. So if the gender really discriminates women in a certain society, those women will always see themselves as a very low level people that are not equal to men, that are not equal. The men are better, are more human beings than them. So the way the gender will see themselves will be also be determined by the social identity. Then how others treat us can have a positive or a negative effect on our identity. So how the society treat each other, or how the society or the members of the society view others or see each other and how they treat each other, this will affect either positively or negatively the personal identity of this individual. For example, if a person is sick, for example, HIV and AIDS, in a place that we have a lot of stigma, the society will really discriminate this individual. They will not even visit that individual because they're fearing that They'll get the HIV once they visited them, or even once they greet them, or even once they interact with them. People will think that they are having a social relationship or a sexual relationship will lead to the transmission of the infection. So all this will affect negatively the identity of this individual, and they will start to see themselves as a very inferior individual who are not equal to the other people just merely because they have the HIV infection. So the way people will treat us in our society will also affect in one way or another the personal perception. So when we expect others to reject us because of an aspect associated with ourselves, we can change that aspect. So still this the way society or social identity of a certain society can also shape the morals of the societal members or members of that community. Because if the society rejects or even prohibits a certain behavior in a person, definitely that person will change in order to make sure that they're not rejected by the society. Another factor that may influence our personal perceiveness is social awareness, which normally determines who we are. So the moment you know who you are, this will increase your personality or how you normally perceive yourself. So once I know I'm a competent individual, I'm a very attractive individual, I'm a very eloquent individual, even if you tell me whatever you want to tell me just because you want to hurt me, that will not affect me because of I'm self-aware of whom I am. So positive self-change is enhanced by feeling of self-efficacy or the belief that one can achieve a goal as a result of one's own action. The moment you understand yourself, the moment you know yourself, you can set your goal and achieve them because you believe that you're able and you're capable to do and to achieve that goal. Otherwise, if you don't know yourself, you'll not be able to achieve the goals you know or the goals you have or the goals you have set just merely because you don't know what to do. Other people normally decide who you are or normally will influence who you are. Although we may change because of our own desires, to do so, many self-changes develop because of situation factors such as growing older, relocating, or entering a new job. So although we may change because of our own desires, there's some circumstances that we normally change because of the situation that we are. For example, if you become older, your self-awareness starts to depreciate. When you relocate, your self-awareness may change in one way or another. So losing a job is a major self-challenging event in which might have significant negative effects on our self-concept. Once you lose your job, you become a dependent to the other individual, and this may negatively affect your personal perceiveness or personal concept. Another thing that normally affect our personal perceiveness of personal concept is self-esteem. Self-esteem refers to one's overall attitude about self. In order to uphold self-esteem, many of us display the so-called above average effect or tendency to rate ourselves as above average on most positive social attributes. So self-esteem doesn't mean that you're above average, or it doesn't mean or doesn't make you try to become an above average individual. It just merely one's overall attitude about yourself. And this attitude normally influences how you relate with other people, because if your self-esteem is too low, you're not even able to understand yourself. You're not even able to really know who you are. So those with high self-esteem are especially inclined to claim personal responsibility for personal success. When your self-esteem is high, you're able to set goals and achieve those goals because you believe in yourself. But if your self-esteem is too low, you're not able even to achieve those goals. So people also show a self-serving bias for own group accomplishments. So many social scientists let me just explain the other point. People also show a self-service bias for own group accomplishment. So when you do something with a group and one person want to take all the credit as if they did the whole thing themselves, this is brought about by self-esteem issues. So many social scientists have suggested that low self-esteem is associated with social problems such as drug abuse, poor school performance, depression because you're not able to express yourself, various forms of violence, you're not able to express yourself in a mature way, you'll be forced to express in a violent way, having antisocial behavior such as fighting in public and negative attitudes to others. You'll always have negative attitude toward others if your self-esteem is too low. When you'll always see people with a negative vibe, you'll always fight them. You'll have depression because you're not able to express your feelings. You're not able to express yourself. Poor school performance because you have a lot of issues with you. Drug abuse because the only way to seek attention to other people is using drugs. So high self-esteem also is not good. It's not always positive because recent studies have associated high self-esteem with narcissism, bullying, exhibitionism, self-aggrandizing, and interpersonal aggression. So narcissists normally have very high self-esteem. Bullies have high self-esteem. So still, you need to check on your self-esteem. Not too low and not too high. Just average. So high self-esteem coupled with instability might be especially dangerous. It may lead to people exhibiting hostility and negative behavior. So the way your attitude, overall attitude or overall self-attitude will affect how we normally do our things. So another way through which we can our personality or how we perceive ourselves can be affected is through self-presentation and self-regulation. So in addition to our strong desire that others should perceive us using a positive light, we also try to manage the impression they form of us. We engage in self-promotion. We try to add value to ourselves in order for us, for others to see ourselves as good or to see us in a positive way. So we attempt to make others like us by conveying to them what we like, that we like them. Another possibility is to present ourselves to others as they competent or own behavior is or having other desirable attributes. So we may want us to add value to ourselves or in order for other people to see us as good by acknowledging them or attempting to make others like us by conveying to them that we like them and and that they are very competent, they are good, they have very good characteristics, they have good personality, and they have other desirable attributes in order for them to see us in a positive way. So that's what normally happens in majority of friendship that we normally make. And these are some friendship with benefits where you praise other people on their personality with the hope that they will reciprocate and see you as a good person. So some individuals also monitor their own behavior in response to the expectation of others. So the way you want your friend to see you, maybe you can lead you to modify your personality, modify the person you are in order to be seen by the other person as a good person. So another method of learning about the self is introspection, where our attempts to understand the self by self-examination. So you can self-examine yourself in order to know your personality, but that is normally affected because we normally try to appease others by either praising them or even conforming to what they want us to be like, which is very dangerous. But for you to perceive yourself in a positive way, you need to self-examine in order to understand yourself, although that is normally affected by majority of people conforming to what friendship or what their friends want to be or them to be, or even praising their friends even if they have bad characters. So when you want to enter into a group of friendship, or maybe a group that have been formed maybe with bad behaviors, with a certain characteristics, you would want you to change, or sometimes we are tempted to change our personality in order to agree well with that group, which normally affect the personal perceiving or the personal concept or self-concept of ourselves. So lastly, cognitive and behavioral consequences also affect how we normally see ourselves, where one cognitive consequences of perceived prejudice is that when people fear that others will discover their devalued group membership, this year might interfere with the ability to learn to acquire new skills. So a behavioral consequence is experiencing stereotype trait, which refers to people believe that they might be judged in light of a negative stereotype about their social identity, or that they may be inadvertently act in some way to confirm the stereotype of their group. So this also will explain the previous point, where since you want people to see you as a positive person or with positive eye, you will conform to a particular group's characteristics and change yourself to be among them, or even to be identified with that group by changing how you see yourself in order to conform to that group, because you don't want to be discriminated by that. You want to feel, or you want to feel a sense of belonging to that group. And due to that, we have behavioral consequences, since you will change your behavior, you'll change your personality just because you want to be identified with a certain group. Maybe you are from rural areas and you want to be grouped together with people from the urban areas. So you'll find yourself changing your personality, changing your behavior, changing how you perceive things, because just merely you want to be identified with a particular group. So that's the end of those two topics. Remember the two topics? We have the first topic is interpersonal relationship, which is built up by interpersonal communication. And we also have the next topic on perceiving self. And we have factors that normally influences how we normally perceive ourselves, either ideally, personally, and socially. So these are the factors. We have self-awareness, we have self-esteem, we have all those factors that normally influence how we normally see ourselves, or how we normally perceive ourselves to be. So that's the end of this topic and the end of this class. So let's meet next week. I hope next week we'll be able to come to attend the classes, because I believe the more we interact one-on-one, that it will be better than just going through the video. So all the best and keep safe.